First story. My partner 42, of 15 years told M42 she doesn't love me anymore. Please help? Any thoughts, ideas, or support would be appreciated. Background. We are unmarried but have been living together for the past 1 year. We have 2 children aged 4 and 13. I have a high-salary job, $100K per year, which involves extensive travel and time away from home. I have been in this job for our entire relationship. My partner has been mainly focused on the children and has never had a full-time career or job. Due to an ongoing project, I spent this Christmas and New Year away from home. We do not have any close family nearby for support and always have the children by ourselves. Problem. I don't believe I am writing this. After returning home after the New Year and missing Christmas, I sensed something was wrong and bothering my partner. When I asked her how she was feeling, she said she didn't feel like being intimate towards me and had no libido, which is the exact opposite of how it normally is when I get home. She blamed this on her hormones and said she might be entering perimenopause. I suggested she get checked out and have blood work done to establish if this was the problem. However, my gut told me there was more to this. After being home for 4 weeks and then returning overseas to a project, we have spoken. And she says she cares about me but does not love me anymore and is unsure if she wants a relationship anymore. She said that Christmas alone pushed her over the edge, and she hated every minute of being alone. Hearing these words has devastated me. I am a long way from home and have no one to talk to for advice on dealing with this. I want to fix this. I want to listen to her and give her a chance to have a career and a normal life instead of being pinned down by the kids while I am away. I want to talk about this with her and see if we can work this out, but I just have the feeling that enough is enough, and she doesn't want to. Thinking about having things end like this brings me straight to tears, and I am really scared of not knowing how I will cope if she doesn't want to work through this. The uncertainty I cannot handle. I just do not what I will do if we cannot fix this. I don't know if I am suicidal or not. I just feel very vulnerable with no way out. I feel responsible for all this. In trying to make a good living by buying a nice home for the 4 of us, I screwed our family up. I don't want to be the person who begs her to love me again. But that's all I can do right now as my world is crashing down, and I have no one to talk to. All this has been a long time coming. I could tell that when I talked about my job. She was not happy as her life is only for the kids. I wanted to spend more time with her while I was back, but she was always busy, or I was. I felt she was doing this to avoid spending time with me. I have no idea how to handle this. My plan. Admit, it is me who has destroyed our relationship. Discuss this with my employer to return home immediately or on my normal rotation in about 4 weeks. See if it's possible to take a month of unpaid leave to try and fix our relationship. Listen to my partner and try to find a way out of this hole that works for both of us. If need be, quit my job. This would leave me with a huge financial burden, and I would have to find a way to pay the mortgage, but it might make her feel that I am taking this seriously. Update. We spoke on a video call, and I explained what my plan was. She said it's not just this but also that she doesn't feel the same way about me, is not attracted to me like she used to be. She said she felt like everybody was watching her, stuck in the house all day, and couldn't escape. To try and fix things and make her love me again, if possible, I proposed flying back home ASAP, arranging a babysitter, and taking a break away together. She said she does know if that will work, but it seems like she will give it a try. Update. Caught my partner, F42, of 15 years cheating on me. The title says it all. I found out that my so has been cheating on me for nearly 2 months. D-Day happened 3 days ago when I finally had enough of the excuses, did some snooping, and found a few messages between her and a mutual friend from the gym. This news has absolutely devastated me. We were together for 15 years, have 2 children, 4 and 13, and a beautiful home. I only have to think about other families who have what we had and break down with sadness. I work abroad and have extended periods away from home, and I have never once not trusted her. She told me she had a moment with this guy at the gym. Maybe a kiss, and then she followed up on it and initiated the affair. I have no idea what was going through her head. Something must have been missing from our relationship, but she never thought to raise it with me. She is saying that I never listened to her and was always right, but I can't even remember when we last disagreed or argued. I have no idea where I go from here. I need her to look after the kids while I am away so I can maintain my job. She has no real income and I always paid everything. We are still under the same roof, but I can't see how this will last once relationships are thrown into the mix. I cannot afford to maintain our family home and pay her an allowance and an additional home for myself. Just the thought of living in an empty house kills me. There was no better feeling than returning to my cozy home with a happy family. In the last few days, I have had some dark moments, especially being told that she does not love me anymore. That really hurts. Insomnia has been terrible. I attended a doctor's appointment today and have been prescribed tranquilizers to help me sleep at night. There is no one I can talk to in my circle who can relate to anything close to what I am going through right now. It's sad to say that I still care about her and will really miss her. She has been a great partner and mother to our children. Looking for any support, help, encouragement, etc. Update. February 22, 2024 D-Day +4. Thank you to everyone who has replied. The support I have received has been overwhelming. I will try and update you and answer the questions here, but if I missed one, feel free to DM me. Lawyer. I emailed one of the top lawyers in our town within hours of this happening to retain his services for my case. I am waiting for a meeting with him so I can discuss the pros and cons of everything. The ex. Right now, she is still under my roof, and we try to get on the best we can when the kids are home. I discussed her finding somewhere else to go, to which she replied, I am not leaving the kids. The idea of her staying at someone's or even the AP and then coming to my place when the kids are here may work as a temporary measure. The worst thing for me is that when not thinking about what my ex has done, if there was a room full of other women, I would still choose her for looks and personality over anyone else. After taking tranquilizers last night and having the most sleep I have managed in about 2 months, I woke up razor sharp. I have also restarted my ADHD medications, so my focus is improved. I can't help the dark cloud that keeps creeping up on me through the day, and when I think about the life that I had before, I will wait for advice from my lawyer regarding moving forward with this. I also know that any action I take now could negatively impact my prospects. In terms of evidence gathering, I have more than sufficient to show what was going on, including timelines, locations, etc. This turned me sick, gathering this as I realized the full extent of what was going on. That's all for now, but I will keep the updates running here as it might offer support to those in a similar position. I wholeheartedly feel sorry for anyone who has to go through this. It's the biggest kick in the balls I ever received. Update. Well, it's been nearly 5 months since D-Day, and I thought it was time for an update. This has been the worst experience of my life. I think daily about not only the infidelity but also the betrayal, the stupidity, and where my life goes from here. I've considered suicide many times, but the heartache it would cause my kids prevents me from doing so. Here are a few significant events since D-Day. Continuing to meet the AP. Since D-Day, my hypervigilance has been intense. There was no way I would stand for her living in the same home with me, paying for everything while still seeing the AP. Yet, despite this, she continued to meet him several times, which I either found out about by chance or witnessed firsthand. Each time felt like D-Day all over again. It emotionally destroys me. Some might say she can do what she likes, which I agree with, but I can't see how someone could stoop so low as to think they are entitled to do this while I, like a cuckold, Am still financing at AP, acting like a hero. The AP, who used to be a friend, does not want the reputation of destroying a once happy family. He has started spreading rumors about me, and is making out that he was trying to help my ex, being the guardian angel, etc. Anxiety, stress, sickness. I had to travel for work about 5 weeks after D-Day, which did me some good. During this time, I went no contact with my ex several times, which helped. I also tried to lay out separation options, but none satisfied her. I got legal advice, which was a wake-up call for her. Realizing I was serious about separating and selling the house, to which she has no claim. When I returned, I wanted to find out more about what had happened and why she cheated. She had been truthing the whole time. I also wanted to know how she could be so selfish and not consider reconciliation, given our kids and family. She said she didn't want to because she is no longer attracted to me. Long story short, she got sick from working hard and trying to be away from the house. She became bedbound for about 6 weeks. Despite everything, I still took care of her during this period. Her paranoia. After she started to recover, I began having a few nights out. I've lost weight and bought a new wardrobe, receiving compliments on my appearance. One night out turned into a late one, and she called me, worried I was with another woman. I ignored the call but talked to her the next day. She was upset, fearing I was with someone else. I questioned why she cared if she wasn't attracted to me anymore, which she couldn't answer. She also said she hoped we could remain friends, which I found insulting. Moving forward, I struggle to navigate this mess. The affair has ruined my life, and nothing will ever be the same. I miss having my family. I loved what I had before, but it was all stolen by two selfish people. There are days when being single feels freeing, but I often miss my family. My ex is now jobless and unqualified, and I'm unsure when she will be able to separate. All the positives of being single are overshadowed by her feeling like a ball and chain around my ankle. Whilst I am keen on getting out and enjoying my life, and the attention of losing some weight and having a new wardrobe, I am not really sure I could even be in a relationship again. Stupid stuff she has said or done. Anytime I mention the AP, she defends him. She claims she has suffered enough, and should not suffer anymore from the affair. She gets stressed at the thought of me meeting other women. She thought she could continue living in our family home post separation while I either stayed without a relationship or found somewhere else to live. Talking to the AP's ex, who was also her friend, makes her go mental. Summary: I am still alive, but I have no clue what will happen in the coming weeks or months. I don't understand how my ex could be so selfish and stupid. She has nothing without me. What was so great about the AP that she would destroy her life and family for him? If she wasn't attracted to me anymore, why didn't she talk about it? My mental health is still suffering, but I'm hanging on. Thinking about the upcoming holidays and whether I'll see my kids opening their presents is soul-destroying. If you still have a family, give them a big hug. I wish I could do the same. Sadly, as much as I would like to kick her out to fend for herself, I am unable to do so for legal reasons. Even my very well-spoken polite lawyer told me that I was fucked in this situation, and the law was geared against me, even though I did nothing wrong. We're not married and had no formal partnership in place. Second story. I want to marry my partner, but due to prior issues in our relationship, I fear she may have been unfaithful, and I'm unable to move our relationship to the next stage. I 35M have been with my partner 33F for almost 2 years. The 2 years have been very passionate for all the right and wrong reasons. Since I decided to work from home, the past 5 months have been mostly amazing. We're closer than ever and having the best sex since we met. We've been having a lot of honest and difficult conversations, sometimes heated. Now that we are in this amazing place, I'm severely randomly plagued by our relationship. Prior to the past 5 months, I have extreme suspicions that she was unfaithful, at least at one point. Our relationship was very rocky. Lots of arguments, lies, lack of sex, mental health and finance issues. The reality is, if I knew she didn't cheat, I'd be ready to propose and begin planning to start a family. I however can't move towards that as the uncertainty of the past has a death grip on me. I'm so angry. For the entirety of my relationship prior to March, when I decided to find a job working from home, I was having very intrusive thoughts around my partner being unfaithful at some point of our relationship before I decided to start working from home. Since March, things have been mostly improving with my partner, and at times, we are closer than we've ever been. We've been having really clear communication, building trust, being honest about things we were not honest about before, and also we've been having the best sex we ever had in our relationship. Recently I've been hit with a severe pang of intrusive thoughts, again about her possibly being unfaithful prior to March. I am pretty confident she wouldn't be unfaithful now after how much we've put in and how insanely close we've become. In essence, it is the past I am very consumed by, not the fear of the future. The reason I feel she may have been unfaithful is, prior to March, for almost a year, we were only having sex once a month or so. We were fighting out due to my suspicions and depression at the time. I found a pair of her underwear excessively stained in the crotch area with a dry white stain. A few days after this, when I came home from work, I noticed she was wearing a thong, though we weren't having sex practically at all. She stated that she ran out of regular underwear. She was alone all that day as her daughter was gone to her dad's. I found a deleted selfie on her phone. She stated it was intended for me, but she didn't like the photo, so deleted it. It was a screenshot of a TikTok video she made. She doesn't post on there, and I don't think there's an option to send pictures via DMs on there. At one point of our relationship, she also uploaded a very beautiful photo of herself, which I noted she only did during periods she was single. A guy she went on one coffee date prior to us popped up on Instagram within her top 5 suggested people to message. I always felt more happened between them prior to our relationship, or maybe even during it. This caused an argument. She blocked him on everything. Then 1 year later he popped up in first place as a suggested friend on another social media app. He made a new account. This guy intensely states at her every time he sees her in the small village we live in. He does not break eye contact and even turned around once. The last time she stated that he gave her a death stare and made her feel intimidated. I got the police involved because I'm not sure if he's a potential stalker, rapist, or a guy who was mistreated by her. At the beginning of us talking, on her own accord she told me it was over a year since she last had sex. 2 years later I find out it was actually the night before we started speaking on Tinder. The same guy came over the following night. The night we began speaking, apparently they didn't have sex as it was a drunken mistake. He was there for a Reiki session as my partner was a practitioner. She was doing this as a favor as they were friends and hung out a number of times before hooking up. This story never sat right with me and I began asking questions in the beginning. Several months later, I went back to read her messages regarding that night and they were deleted. When I asked her about this, she insisted she didn't delete them and that it was a glitch. I ultimately felt like I was going crazy. She stated that I should relocate 2 hours away to her, leave my job and move in with her while she helps me get better. 2 years later, recently during our conversations regarding being honest, she shared that she did in fact delete the messages because she was so tired of me questioning her in regards to this. She stated in the last 7 years she has sex with 3 people, one being her daughter's father, and the guy she hooked up with just before we began talking. During our honesty conversations, I asked who the other person was and she stated she had only actually slept with 2 people. She said 3 as she was embarrassed by her low number. Lastly, when that potential stalker popped up on social media recently, we fought for 6 weeks. We nearly broke up. It was the worst place we've ever been in. During this time, we were not being intimate and I watched porn. She stated at the start of our relationship, she felt it was an unhealthy thing to do in a relationship, and we agreed we wouldn't do it. I was pissed off with her, especially during the 6 weeks and my needs weren't being met, so I looked after myself. I confessed this to her during our conversations about honesty, and she later confessed that during those 6 weeks, she did the same thing twice and cried afterwards. She asked me was that the only time, and I said no, that I turned to it at other periods of our relationship where there was no intimacy. She insisted that she only ever did it those 2 times. Shortly after moving in, I also found a vibrator under the bed, to which she denied using when I asked, and stated it was used prior to me moving in. She has looked me in the face and lied so many times in the past that I'm having trouble in determining when she is now telling the truth. She also never confessed anything on her own volition. She only does so when I confess something, and she confesses a similar thing, but to a much less severity. I don't know what to do. I don't want to leave this relationship as it is now amazing, and if it weren't for the uncertainty of the past, I would propose to her and begin planning on extending her family. This, however, is all on hold as the past is haunting me and it's making me really angry. She gets upset when I share this. I feel I only have 2 other options unless someone else can share some wisdom. Have her partake in a polygraph examination, to which she agreed on. If this can determine the truth on the above, I can let go of it and fall completely into my desires for our future. State that I want to take a break to sleep with someone else, so I can feel like we are on an equal playing field. I understand this is somewhat ego-based, and that is likely not a very good idea at all, and I'll likely be very upset after doing so. It is, however, a reoccurring thought. Please note we have been through a year of couples therapy, and I am currently undergoing psychotherapy where this relationship and my last relationships and parents' relationship, all relationship which involve infidelity, are being worked on. Thank you in advance to anyone who has read this and can share any advice. Third story. Wife's infidelity while gone for military. Hey everyone, I'm fairly new here, so sorry for any grammar issues. I've also been through a lot these past few months since returning home and just trying to make it day to day. So I'm like 99% sure my wife of 6 years and mother of our 3-year-old child had an affair when I was last gone earlier this year, sometime during the 6 months I was gone. I only found out anything may have happened because my new neighbor who moved in the apartment next to ours mentioned something about how often we had maintenance in our unit, which seemed strange to me because she only ever mentioned a couple of minor things she had to have maintenance repair, and no major damage that would have required a long time to fix. I also only found a couple reports that line up with what she told me. Now I'm not normally someone who likes to spy or go through others' devices, but hearing about repeated visits made me suspicious, so one night, when my wife went to bed early, I poked through her iPhone to see if I could find anything suspicious. So I checked her contacts, and the only contact that seemed weird was one that was only the initials CD with a local area code phone number. But I checked her call logs and texts and didn't find any calls or texts from that number at all. I didn't find anything suspicious on her phone at all, so I decided to looking around the apartment one day while she was out. I also pulled our phone records and was able to confirm she had only ever texted that number a few times, but I couldn't see what was actually sent. I found an iPad that I didn't recognize hidden in our daughter's closet under some toys in a box. Luckily for me, the password was same as her phone, and I found more things than I did on her phone. So I checked to see if her iMessages were on the tablet, but no luck at all. Even the Apple ID was different, I'm assuming to make it even less likely something would get transferred she didn't want transferred. I then went to her gallery where I found more. She had a lot of sexy pictures in a varying amounts of clothing and positions that I have never seen before. I even checked timestamps, and they were taken in a timeline from late January to sometime in mid-April. There were also other times further back where I was gone for short period of times, even just over a weekend. where she would take all these pictures, and I only ever saw like 10–15% of the pictures. I also found Snapchat and Signal on her tablet, which was strange because why would she use Signal and the Snapchat wasn't logged in but had a different username remembered for login, but not the password, and I couldn't find the password anywhere. I did find the email on the tablet, but didn't want to risk resetting anything because I didn't want to risk her finding out. Her Signal app was empty also, so I'm not sure if it auto-deletes or something. The only other thing worth mentioning about the box, which is probably most damning, is a condom I found in the bottom of the box, which couldn't have been mine because it wasn't a brand I use. Plus we were working towards having a baby anyway, so we didn't have any condoms when I left. She was somewhat distant during that time, but I thought it was just because of me being gone in a different time zone making things difficult to communicate, but now I believe it's because another man was with her during that time. I also believe my wife may not be the only one he is involved with because of a recent review on Yelp stating that someone else who lives in the same complex as wife was also having an affair with an employee while they were gone. I'm sorry if this doesn't fit this subreddit, I'm just really struggling because I don't really have a definite answer one way or the other. And I wanted to vent and maybe some advice from others on how to deal with everything or how to get proof. I don't want to lose my child and be a part-time parent, and I know my wife won't admit to it and she will just get rid of any evidence. I did find some other things when I was alone in the apartment, but this post is very long. But I'll try to questions in the comments or respond to any private messages.